The main reason we decided to collaborate with Adidas on Prouder was the reason that A, they're a big company and that they have a voice, and we wanted to use that voice to get our message across and to help as many people within our community as possible. So when we approached Adidas about this project, they were really happy to oblige, because they were about to relaunch the Samba, which is the shoe that we use for this campaign, and we asked so many people to redesign and to customise and to turn it into their interpretation of what proud means to them. The reason we chose the Albert Kennedy Trust as our chosen charity was the fact that they help so many LGBTQI+ children that are homeless, that have been abused, that come from broken homes, that are refugees, that identify within our community. And every penny that we raise will go straight to those children and to rehouse them and to get them into a safe and loving environment. So the reason that we started the Prouder campaign was that there is so many people in our community that are homeless and don't have anywhere to live, that really need help. And the best way to do that was to come up with an idea that would appeal to everybody, and everybody loves shoes. So we went to Adidas and we asked Adidas to get involved with the concept, and we went forward, and the whole idea of it was that we sent these Samba shoes, white Samba shoes, to the likes of David Beckham, the likes of Kate Moss, the likes of Naomi Campbell, and so many other people, and we asked them to customise them and tell us what pride means to them and what makes them prouder in 2018, and to give them a voice. And the results have been incredible and overwhelming, and I'm so proud of this campaign. I'm so proud of this exhibition, and I'm so proud of everybody that took part of it. In fact, I'm prouder.
My first pair of Adidas were the Sambas, and I remember because I forced my mom to get them. I was obsessed with them. I think I was about 13 or 14, mid-80s, and a friend of mine had it at school. And if I remember correctly, she probably got it from Freeman Hardy Willis.
My first pair of Adidas was a pair of black suede campuses that I bought when I think I was about 12 or 13. I was up in Manchester. It was like the peak of Oasis versus Blur. It was the Manchester years, and I felt like a Gallagher brother, but I worked in a suitcase factory.
My first pair of Adidas were the low top, yellow and purple. They were white with yellow and purple on them. They were low top Instincts. I got them on discount, and I was poor at saving my checks from my job at McDonald's. So it was literally all I could afford before going back to school. My parents bought the rest of my clothes, but I bought those Adidas.
My first pair of Adidas shoes were a pair of white Stan Smith tennis shoes, because growing up in Canada, I played a lot of tennis. And I remember Stan Smiths were the ones you had to have. And when I got them, I just felt so proud, and I just felt like one of the gang, because they were the tennis shoe to have. So I loved them.
My first pair of Adidas trainers were a pair of high tops. I got them in New York, in Harlem. We went all the way to Harlem to get them. And I came back to Croydon and I felt like I was hot shit. Like the Queen of Croydon. I was really proud of my high top trainers.
My first pair of Adidas trainers were, I remember going to get them. I remember going to Rochdale with my dad and going to buy them, and they were like Forest Hills. So they were white and they had like a yellow sole with like these weird studs in that I don't know what they were for. And then they had 3 gold stripes, and they were my favorite trainers. I remember like trying to wear them to school, and you weren't allowed to wear them. And I remember saying to the teachers like, oh, my mum can only afford these Adidas trainers. She can't afford school shoes as well.
My first pair of Adidas, well, the first pair that I can remember, I probably bought in America. I think it was Washington. About 1981 or 82, something like that. And it was the first time we'd been given any per day money, which was like a nice surprise, and a free gift from the management. That's how I perceived it in my unknowledgeable head at that time. So I thought, what can I do with this money? It's burning a hole in my pocket. So I went out and I bought a pair of Adidas. And I think they were kind of the high boot cut ones, which were very fashionable in those days. And being thrilled with them and really proud of them. However, looking back in retrospect, I don't think it was such a good look because I used to wear them with shorts. It was very hot over there. And yeah. It didn't actually look very good when I look back at pictures, but nevertheless, it was a thrill to go out and buy something that I thought was cool.
The first pair of Adidas I can remember owning was when one day I decided that I wanted to skate for their team, and I heard that they were in town, so I went to Slam City Skates and traded some Reeboks for some Adidas, and went and skated their demo. And I must have done it with a lot of conviction because all of the filmers and the team thought that I already was on the team, and from that day on I was on the team. So I went to bed feeling very proud of myself that night.
My first pair of Adidas trainers was probably actually a pair of Sambas. I can remember when I was little, we used to go to America on holiday, and it would be at Christmas time, and my dad would give me $100 to get whatever I wanted. And we always used to go into the big Adidas shop, and my dad would always buy Sambas. And obviously as a little boy, you know, sometimes you always want to be like your dad, so I was always buying the same pair of trainers he was.
I did have a pair of Adidas when I was a kid that were black with neon pink stripes, and that was in the 90s, high tops. And it was the first time that my mum had ever let me wear something that had a brand name on it, because she was really anti all that, being a socialist and everything. And I thought I was the coolest thing ever. I would, like, literally on break time and lunchtime at primary school, this was, I think I was 11, I'd go and like just clean them with the tissues in the toilets just to wipe off any dirt, because I was never allowed anything other than like no-name stuff before then.
My first pair of Adidas trainers were pale blue with white stripes. I bought them in Church Street Market off the Edgware Road, and the colour was really pretty, and also the whole look of them was quite spivvy, and they gave me a confidence and they made me feel really good. They were fantastic.
Well, funny enough, the first pair of Adidas I ever got was a pair that Gary Aspin sent me as part of the Speciale range, and it made me feel very touched that he would do that. The longer answer is that when I grew up, you really would never wear sportswear outside of school, so nobody wore trainers other than when you were playing sport. So really I never had kind of, you know, no kids would ever wear trainers outside. It was not something in the beginning of the 70s, which is when I was young, that people would ever do. So it's sort of only really sort of since the 1980s and late 1970s that trainers became fashionable.
In 2018, I'm proud that I'm able to work at British Vogue with an incredible team. I'm proud that I'm able to sort of champion diversity, champion people of different ages, sexuality, people from different socio-economic backgrounds. I'm just proud that British Vogue is so open and really welcoming.
What makes me feel prouder in 2018, I think, is really just getting to a point of acceptance, I think, within myself and also in the world around me. I think in what I do, in how I do it, in my relationships, in my family relationships, and just a sense of being at peace with myself, I suppose. I'm old, that's why.
What makes me feel proud is seeing those kids at Parkland down in Florida. It gives me hope. I've been saying that I really do believe that like what's gonna save this world are women, men who are compassionate toward the position of women, and also the millennials and the Gen Zers. And it was just a beautiful thing to watch those kids stand up and rally together and show not only our country, but show the world that like their generation is not gonna sit back. They will fight, they will push for progression, and they will forever tap into the potential of our species.
What makes me feel prouder in 2018 is the amazing progress that's been made with marriage equality. Many years ago, Elton and I started our journey with a civil partnership, and from that, the laws changed in Britain to include marriage equality, and we've seen that get picked up and taken around the world, which is an amazing thing. And I feel particularly grateful because out of a foundation of support from our society with marriage equality, we felt confident enough to start a family and have children of our own.
In 2018, my daughter Lila makes me feel prouder. She's growing up into a lovely young lady.
This year, I feel like I've sort of got what pride means as a gay man, and I feel genuinely like proud to be myself and to be gay. And I think growing up, you were always a little bit like scared to admit it, and it was, you know, definitely at school it was something that I was never comfortable with and never spoke about. So I think this year I've gotten to know myself a lot more, and I feel confident in being a gay man, and I think that's come from, I guess, the acceptance that I've experienced in 2018.
It's a difficult year to find things to be proud of because of the kind of political direction that the world's gone in this year and the UK's gone in. For me, it's difficult. I guess I'm proud of the band's achievement, of New Order's achievements, that we're still relevant today after all these years. We've just been to Vienna and Turin, doing a new show that involves 12 synthesizers, and all the stuff is played live using these 12 keyboards, and that was really exciting to do. So proud of the past, but also proud of what we will be able to achieve in the future.
What makes me feel prouder in 2018 compared to 2016 or 15 is probably my sobriety and slowly becoming a nicer, somewhat more bearable person every day.
What makes me feel prouder, I would say right now at the moment more than anything, is my son. I think since, you know, I've had a little boy, a little child, you know, everything changes in life, and, you know, I'm more aiming for him to be prouder of me, which actually already he's making me a better man, which I think is incredible.
In 2018, I feel prouder of the fact that music artists have started to actually use a platform to say something about social and important issues, because it's been a drought of that for a long time, and I feel like it's about time that people started to do that.
What makes me feel prouder in 2018 is being a fashion designer and also being somebody who takes care of people in the world. I like to see through my work how I can connect with people, and injustice has always been a big source of inspiration for me, and to look and see where I can draw attention to injustices and in my own small way try and do something about them, even if it's just about making it visible. And that is what makes me feel proud in 2018.
The things that make me feel prouder, I run SHOWstudio, which is a platform for fashion film, and we get a lot of young students that come on internships, and to see them grow creatively, because we stay in contact with a lot of them throughout the years, so to see them becoming, you know, talents in their own right, some of them become editors at SHOWstudio, just to see kind of, you know, to nurture talent and to grow artistic talent, and to see it develop makes me really proud.
My ingredient for a perfect world, lots and lots of laughter. If everyone laughed, the world would be a better place.
I think my ingredients for a perfect world would really just be about harmony. I think about people living side by side in harmony, doing their own thing, getting on with their own thing, and people just not really giving a shit or being offended or upset with how other people choose to live their lives. And people just living in a sense of harmony and peace and happiness with who they are, what they are, and what their mate next door's doing.
The perfect ingredient to a perfect world is because there's so many cultures, so much diversity, and so many differences of opinion. I think that empathy is the one thing that this world lacks. There's a lot of love, but that love is usually conditional. But if we could just have empathy, then you can find your way to loving any and everyone, even if you disagree.
My ingredients for a perfect world, a lot of people talk about tolerance. I think tolerance means that you still think something is different and you put up with it. My major ingredient for a perfect world goes beyond tolerance to celebration. I think we should be, rather than just tolerating people for their differences, we should be celebrating people for their differences. I think when we live in a world where people feel 100% free to be who they are and what they are, and what they're all about, I think we should be celebrating that and being joyful about it. So that would be my major ingredient, would be celebration.
My ingredients to a perfect world would be a world with no judgment.
My ingredients for a better world would be compassion. I think it's important to be a lot more compassionate, and I don't think I have been in the past. I think I've had like a short temper and sort of, I don't know, shouted at cabbies and been like, "Where are you going?" And then now I think it's nice to just be a bit more compassionate. Maybe he's having a hard day, I don't know. So compassionate, I'd say, understanding of other people and other people's point of views, and I think acceptance of different people for different reasons is very important, to accept everybody. They'd be my ingredients.
What would be my ingredients for a perfect world? Just a bit more unity, really. If we could all start heading in a positive direction rather than a negative one, that would be a great thing.
Ingredients for a perfect world is a very dangerous question to answer. So I mean, in my dreams, the world just consists of loads of clones of people as nice as DJ Fat Tony.
My ingredients for a perfect world, I think at the moment more than anything, would be if we all came together a little bit more. I feel like everybody, and I almost picked our battles. I feel like if we're trying to solve everything at once, that kind of makes everything a little bit of a mess. And if we all aimed better for a better future, it would be easier.
Ingredients for a perfect world: equality for all and no discrimination whatsoever, and therefore the absence of anxiety.
My ingredients to a perfect world would be if people changed the language they use, how they talk about things. For me, the perfect world would be a world without war, and war seems to me something largely a result of people using irresponsible language and just generally freaking out and being provocative and thoughtless and posturing. I think if politicians changed the way they spoke and thought about how the effect of the words they use would have on people in general, things could be very different. It's not at all utopian or idealistic. It's completely realizable.
My ingredients for a perfect world would certainly be tolerance, kindness, and enthusiasm for the future.
The Albert Kennedy Trust is an amazing UK-based charity that work with LGBT young people who are either homeless or at risk of homelessness due to their sexual orientation or identity. So I've worked with the Albert Kennedy Trust now for around about a year. I first got involved when I met Tim, the CEO, and he told me about the amazing work that they do. I worked with them on their charity gala event last winter, and we created a t-shirt together to raise some funds, and they recently made me patron of the charity.